Ray here with my day 10 check-in. It's Monday, July 11th, 2022. Today's day 10 of the process, but I can no longer say day 6 or day 7 or whatever of the dry fast. We're back to, the dry fast, day 7 ended this morning at 8 a.m. The dry fast ended and I broke my fast with water. Probably just have water the rest of today. This week, now we're on day 1 of the second week. The second week is no food still, but you can have water, you can have diluted juice, diluted 25%. So like I mentioned in a previous video, the last time I tried this, I broke my fast, my dry fast with diluted juice, and it didn't agree with me at all. And I went back to water. And then I only lasted another 3 days because of the chlorine incident. So today I'm just going to do water. Maybe tomorrow I'll bring the juice in. So I broke my fast with this morning with a half a cup. Actually, I just took a couple of sips. Then, later on I had a little bit more. I'm not hungry at all, which is surprising. And I'm not all that thirsty either. But the instructions for the next week say this is supposed to be a restful and healing week. That a lot of healing of the work that was done the previous week is going to take place this week. And they advise drinking no less than 1.5 liters of water a day. That's the people who originally channeled this 21-day process. Jazz Maheen, since it's in her book, and she makes like an editorial comment saying, if you're guided to only drink water and not to drink juice, do that. If you're guided not to drink at all, do that. So, I'm kind of forcing myself to drink water today, and then tomorrow I'll think about the juice thing. We'll see. I have some juice on standby. So then today is day 1 of the water and juice fast, and this will be for another 7 days. I was noticing this today when I was doing my 5 Tibetan rites and my microcosmic orbit. I could really feel the energy moving. Like for example, with the 5 Tibetan rites, you do some spinning at the beginning. And I've always talked about how when you're doing spiritual purification with fire and water, even if the water is perfectly calm and still, and this is kind of fire as well, but fire is kind of like always moving. And out here, in the Caribbean, if you're in the bathtub, that's one thing. If you're in the Caribbean Sea, the water is always moving. But also your chakras are rotating. So even if the water and the fire are relatively still, there's motion, between the chakras that are rotating. As they rotate through the water, they get clean. As they rotate through the fire, they get clean. And usually when I do the 5 Tibetan rites, I'm more aware of my physical body movement or motion. But today I was really aware of the energy body motion, the chakras rotating. It was like I was rotating my physical body through the chakras. And I also felt that with the microcosmic orbit as well. So that was interesting. I feel fine. I think maybe I'm not ready to go run an obstacle course, but I'm not like, you know, incredibly weak either. And I think one thing that's kind of helping me this time, an advantage that I did not have the last time I tried this, is the realization that whatever is perfect. Whatever is happening right now, this present moment, is inherently and intrinsically perfect. It's exactly the way it's supposed to be. There's no, the reality simply is, and it's really, the absolute. I mean, to use dualistic language and to use dualistic Christian language, since that's what everyone's familiar with. But let's move from dualism to oneness. If God is omnipresent, then when God creates something, that something cannot be where God is not. God does not, in a dualistic fashion, sit in his throne and then create the world over there, right? God becomes the world over there. God arises as the world over there. Where could there be where God would not be? So where could there be where there would not be perfection? It's the ego's desire for separation which creates this idea, this concept, this illusion that whatever is somehow lacking, and therefore we have to get to the next moment, which will hopefully be better, and hopefully eventually we get to perfection. But what if we are already at perfection? What if this moment is intrinsically perfect because it's already God, arising as this moment, whatever that form, shape that might happen to be taking? And so that understanding just sort of undermines the entire seeking energy of always seeking for something else, something better. Ultimately seeking for union with God. You can't get to union with God if you already are one with God. And then the maybe higher level, we could say, dualistic understanding is that the ego is responsible for that illusion. So you need to get rid of the ego. But how do you get rid of something which does not exist? So always you are trying to do something to improve an intrinsically lacking situation as you perceive it. But the doing is futile because there is no lack, intrinsic or otherwise. It just keeps you on the hamster wheel of, it's like that old story about the diamond merchant who hid the diamond in the pocket of the thief because he knew the thief would never look there. You already have it, you don't know you have it, so you can never find it. But then you think, well, I don't know I have it because of my ego, so I need to get rid of my ego. But the ego doesn't exist. So now you're spending your life trying to get rid of something that doesn't exist, or trying to find something that you already have. It's futile, it's hopeless. And when you really get that, it completely undermines this entire psychological movement towards what's better and away from the present moment, which is already intrinsically perfect. So without this understanding, the path of no food and no water can easily become, this really sucks. I can't eat, I can't drink, I'm starving. But if you see that it is intrinsically perfect, then there's less of a tendency to make it wrong. You actually are less hungry and less thirsty because psychologically you're not obsessing on what is wrong with this picture. So it just makes it easier. And I know a lot of us in the world today are going through some really hard times right now. There's, I don't preach denying reality. We have some serious world situations right now, and just as an understanding of the inherent perfection of reality itself is helping me to do this process, that understanding can also make it easier, help you to deal with the apparent difficulties in your life right now. So just try to look at anything that is arising in your field of perception. Because if it's coming, if it's coming into your field of perception, that means it's for you. And that could be an article or newspaper story from, Sri Lanka that you see on the internet. You don't have to physically be there. If it comes into your perception, it is for you. And your initial reaction is going to be, oh, that's terrible. And what do I do about that? Which assumes an implicit reaction that the present moment is wrong and lacking in some way. So try as an experiment, starting with just telling yourself the present moment is inherently perfect. Whatever is the most perfect thing that could be arising in my perception for me. And with that, realization comes the undermining of the seeking energy that's seeking to be emotionally and psychologically reactive to the present moment. And it lets you be more easeful, be more at ease. You still can engage in whatever, activism or talking with people about how bad it is, but you're doing it, there's less of an energetic charge grabbing you and contracting your energy. Your energy body becomes joyful and expansive, and you want to share better ways rather than contracted and defensive, where you're trying to protect yourself by making other people change. Because, if only they would change, I could be happy. So you source your happiness from within, and then you share that happiness. So you expand, expansion. Love expands and shares. Fear contracts and defends. And you can be saying exactly the same thing. We need to do this, we need to do that. But if you're doing it from a standpoint of realizing the inherent perfection of reality as it is, so that you're sharing your ideas in a loving way versus fearfully contracting and defending yourself, and instead of sourcing your happiness from within, you're looking to get it from outside and trying to make other people or institutions or whatever change so that you can be happy. You know, if other people need to change for you to be happy, you're going to be waiting a long time. So it's you know, it's a shift in perception that makes all the difference in the world. And it's that shift in perception is kind of helping me with this whole process, because I'm not like caught up in the deprivation. I don't even think about the deprivation. I mean, that's one reason why I'm doing this in terms of, you know, day 7 of the dry fast instead of like hour 122, which is how some people do it, which I think is just like asking for trouble. All right. Yeah, and you know, I probably might not have even thought about that if it wasn't for this shift in perception that I had. So yeah, shift your perception, and doesn't mean don't take care of business. It just means take care of business better and have more fun doing it. All right, love you all. Really. Guys, take care. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Good night.